All right, and we're live. Good morning, everyone. It is week 5 of the Kubernetes 117 release. My name is going to be your Sanger. I will be running the meeting this week. And I want to welcome everyone and wish you a happy Monday morning or afternoon, wherever you may be. I will also remind everyone of our code of conduct. Treat everyone with kindness, be excellent to each other. And with that, let's get right started with enhancements.
Hey, we are green with enhancements freeze over and all the exceptions in. We are currently tracking 45 with 12 alpha, 13 beta, and 20 going to stable. So looking pretty good for this release so far. And all 3 of the exceptions were, pretty close to being done and seemed pretty, it didn't seem like that much of a risk. So things should be good.
Yay, it sounds like people kind of got their stability release willy-nilly or via serendipity, I guess. Cool, awesome, that's great news. CI signal.
All right, well, green this week as well. Last week was pretty, I wasn't that optimistic as this week, but this week it's like everything's looking very good. There was like a lot of work from various SIGs on various issues that helped us move a lot of jobs to greenish color. So in terms of master blocking, we still have free flaky jobs. One of the things that I want to call out is a scheduling test. That was actually which I'm really glad with the cooperation with that SIG, because they seem to be really on top of that, and they already submitted an issue. Submitted a PR. They already reduced the flakiness, and they are still working on making that even greener as it is. So that's pretty cool. In terms of master informing, so what I really want to call out is that we finally have the conformance test running for OpenStack again. That is a work that was done by one of my shadows, Nikolaus. That was really good work. So kudos to that. So he created an issue and reached out to that SIG and really made it happen. So that job is running again, which is pretty exciting. On the less positive note, there's a couple of jobs that are red right now. That happened, I think, Friday. There was a merge from SIG network that broke a couple of jobs. But I checked, I think, an hour ago, and they already submitted a PR, and they are also on top of that. So pretty positive week.
Really cool. Any remote concerns that sounds really cool. I wanted to quickly check in regarding SIG scalability. We've been working a little bit to get more signal across from them to us and us to them.
Yeah, so I don't know if you saw, I reached out to one of the guys from SIG Scalability. So he identified some jobs that we should be monitoring for this release, and yeah, he will be identifying the enhancements that could negatively improve scalability. So we should probably keep an eye on those as well. But yeah, I think the cooperation is looking good. So I'm positive on that front as well.
Yeah, I saw lots of responsiveness, and they've been reliably sending people over to update our release notes as well. So getting together with them in person in a week or 2 would be amazing. But yeah, thank you for updating the team on the progress.
Cool.
Who's on the calendar invite for that?
Sorry?
Who's on the calendar invite for the get together?
We haven't figured out a good time because basically we're looking for a time in Europe.
Okay, cool.
Really quick CI signal question. There are a couple of failures on scale correctness and scale performance. Does anyone know if there are any open issues by SIG scalability?
Yeah, I talked with them today. There is one issue, or I think two issues that they opened on that. They also seemed like on top of that, they were like totally monitoring that and they were aware of that issues. And some part of those failures are also connected to the SIG network PR. So yeah, I think for all of them, there are issues and both SIGs are working on that.
Ah, okay, awesome. That's what I was wondering. Thank you very much.
Cool.
Thank you so much for your hard work last week. That's been a lot of work, and
That was actually a lot of support from my shadows. So like big shout out for them. They did a lot of work.
Yay, CI Signal team! Hooray! Thanks everybody. Any further questions? All right, thanks Elena and CI Signal. Next we have bug triage.
Hey, so bug triage is looking green. We have ticket issues and PRs have been quite stable. For priority critical urgent issues, we have only a single issue been added. Important soon issues have not changed much. PRs also, we have priority critical urgent PRs increasing by 1. Priority important soon PRs also increasing by 1. On the whole, we've had quite a slow week, which is to be expected at this time of the release cycle. For old and still issues, Josiah has been pinging old and still issues and notifying the owners that code freeze is coming shortly, so they should start working on what needs to be done and preparing if we should be adding them for this release. That's all the update from bug triage. Any questions, please?
Yeah, so my only concern is that we're having a lot of open issues. And that was the case last release as well. One thing that we can maybe get working on is to just gently poke the issues that haven't seen a lot of action and a lot of traction in the last couple of weeks or so, and just kind of just make a little bit of noise on them so that maybe they reappear in people's notifications. I know that's a lot of individual legwork, so please lean on your shadows, I guess, or in your case. But yeah, if you can get a jump start on that, it'll make your life a little bit easier in the coming weeks, and it will make basically it'll make everyone in charge of the release a little bit more like relaxed about it too. So that's my only thing. Again, this is not unusual at all. Just getting started on the poking people help a little bit.
So we'll be assigning issues and PRs shortly to the various shadows, myself included, and we could definitely do the poking. Yeah.
Just kind of go around and nag people. I wish there were a bigger secret to that, but that's really all it is. Great, definitely. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Docs. We do not have a docs update today, or do we?
Hello everyone, my name is Vinith. I'm one of the docs shadow. So we have received the final enhancement list, which are 44 enhancements. So we have divided ourselves and we started tracking the enhancements, and we are in a good shape. Any questions for the docs?
No, I've been talking with Damini about dates and general state, so sounds like all that is resolved.
Okay, is there any update? We haven't received any update, so we were thinking that November 19th and 22nd dates are very they're right intersecting with the KubeCon. So we had the docs team had concern with it. So do you have any update on that front?
Let me tell you the correct dates. Open placeholder is due on November 8th. November 15th is PRs ready for review, and then reviewed and ready to merge is the 22nd. So there is more time, and keep in mind there's also a docs sprint at KubeCon.
Okay, that's cool. Thank you for the update.
Yeah, I'm sorry for the confusion in the calendar, but refer to the calendar table, and that's where the correct dates are.
Okay.
All right.
The TLDR is up to date too, right?
Yes, the TLDR got updated last week.
Okay, perfect.
That's the final docs deadline, right up on top. So, let's see, docs, release notes.
Hey everyone, hope you all had a good weekend. No big update today. We're still looking green. We had one PR get approved. Thanks for that, Stephen, for the draft. And we're also had a PR put in with the release notes site to add in the filters for the alpha releases. So we're just waiting for an approval on that. So if someone has power to do that, we have the looks good to me from Sasha. So we just get that in, and then we can start putting the alpha notes up. And that's the update for this week.
Can you link what needs to be approved?
Yeah, it's in the release, the meeting notes.
Okay. In general, just a note. I noticed that kind of this is not for you. This is kind of like across all of our release cycles. That docs that the release notes have been slow to merge. The PRs have been slow to merge in general. So if you see them getting slowed down, please yell at us.
Okay. Yeah, no problem.
Because I thought that one had already merged, and that was open 2 weeks ago. So
yeah,
please,
no, I got a little sidetracked with some release launches here, so I haven't been as on it as I maybe should have been.
No, not you. I'm saying that should be on your approver. So if you're not seeing traction on that stuff, just yell at us.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I'll get in touch with you about the release notes draft as well. So
look forward to it. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Claire mentioned that she was not going to be here today, and conveniently, she also has no updates. Moving on. Wait, whoa! I totally skipped Stephen. Release brand.
Hey, so yeah, nothing too crazy. We released Alpha 2 on the 15th, I believe. The next Alpha 3 cut is coming tomorrow.
The 22nd.
Yeah, tomorrow. So I am actually, so Carlos has a note in the notes about asking if he can do the cut. What I would like to see is, I'm going to see if I can identify a release manager associate that is new to the game to do one of the alphas. I want to try to get them in early for the alphas, as opposed to doing a scary, a beta or the RCs. Just so they can, wet their whistle on walking through some of the tooling. So if I cannot identify someone by the end of today, then Carlos will do it in the morning in his time. I will be cutting the beta 0 when that comes up, because that's a lot of branch nonsense, and I've been playing around with stuff, so I don't want people to be victim to things that I might have changed that are not reflected in the notes just yet. So yes, so ideally I can find a release manager associate to do it. If not, Carlos, who is shadowing me for the branch management role, will take care of that for tomorrow, and I will be skulking the channels as usual in case anyone needs support. So cool.
It sounds like we're on track with that. Thank you, Stephen. Next is me. I have mostly I just jotted down the notes that I will give on Thursday at the meeting. Next week we are cutting the release branch, and the 117 jobs will be set up. So get ready for that, everybody. Then we have this has also been covered. We have added back the tests, the OpenStack tests, to make sure that we have at least some test coverage in some areas. Sorry, yes.
Oh, so there's active discussion. I don't know if I don't know if it's been resolved, but I think people have been chatting back and forth about whether the OpenStack test is actually a test on real infrastructure or a synthetic test. So they're trying to determine that, but just to be aware that we're trying to make sure that in addition to kind, that there are also tests on real infrastructure happening. So thank you again to everyone who's been involved in that process, George, for running with making sure the conformance stuff has gotten in, as well as everyone on CI Signal to make sure that stuff got cleaned up. I know it's still active, and I know it's a few of the tasks are undefined work, but I really appreciate y'all getting on top of that.
Great. Let me just kind of take some notes. And tests are run on real infra. There we go. So yeah, so we have continuing work on that. I linked an issue as well where it's kind of more of a meta issue on like how we determine whether tests, but basically how we determine the test selection criteria. We are also continuing to coordinate with SIG Scalability to ensure timely release. My main hope is that Elena can set up a meeting with them in the next 2 weeks and on European time, and I can send my wonderful European shadow to ask relevant questions at that meeting. Hi, Maria. And so that's the plan. And those are my team-specific updates. Does anyone have questions for me?
We skipped by comms.
David, let's go with David.
Yeah, so the comms update, as we're continuing to review the enhancements list, we've been reviewing the release notes draft, and we're going to try and identify the theme this week. As well as that, we're working with the CNCF to schedule the blogs and webinar.
Awesome. I'm so sorry I skipped you. That's
all right.
Thank you for the update. I really appreciate it. Thank you, David. Oops. Does anyone have any questions for David? All right. Please let us know when you do have the CNCF dates set. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Does anyone have any questions for me?
Not a question, but a comment. For whoever is responsible for the SIG Scalability meeting, I think that's probably Elena. Please make sure that the SIG Scalability chairs, the SIG release chairs, the release team lead, and shadows are invited, as well as the CI Signal team. Even if those people cannot show up, please make sure that they're all included on that invite.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll put some notes in there. Actually, can you do that, Stephen? Can you just kind of under that bullet?
It's mentioned wherever it's listed about having the meeting that those people should be invited. I can link the meeting.
Perfect. Sounds great. Yep. Just awesome. No need to duplicate information, but like leading the trail. Thank you. So with that in mind, we do have an update from SIG Scalability, and I know that so we have a couple of tests that started failing, and it sounds like they're on their radar, and I do believe this came up with CI Signal earlier as well. So that is something to look into. Speaking of. All right, open discussion. Anything that anyone has a concern about? Anything not on the agenda? Anything we forgot? I know I wasn't here last week. Is there something that came up that was punted?
I have a question. So, like when a new doc shadows have joined the release team, a few people were asking me like questions like, what are this alpha and beta releases and how exactly they work? So, are we planning to have any onboarding session for new shadows joining the release team, or any pointers for such resources?
So if you have a question right now, I would get in touch with Claire. Just send her a DM and say like, hey, I have some questions. But I think your question is specifically, what are the alpha and beta releases? How do they work? And why do we have them?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I mean, so a lot of that is for early discoverability. I'm not entirely sure who all uses these, but maybe Stephen can talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So one, if anyone on the call has never seen this document, please take a look at it, the release team onboarding. I'm pretty sure that most of you have. There are lots of valuable resources in the SIG release repo in general, including the role handbooks, which you can, the role handbooks for release engineering as well as the release team. Those are there, and yeah, so alpha, beta, RC releases. The primary concern there is to be able to vet the status of Kubernetes at any one point in time, as well as being able to exercise the tooling that we use over time, right? As tooling changes, things may not work, tests may fail, all that good stuff. So we want to make sure that we're cranking the wheel ever so often to make sure that that things are up to snuff. Now, the people who consume these things are it's not as large of a group as I would like it to be, and it's primarily because of discoverability. We don't have so people who are aware of where the artifacts land for alpha, beta, nightlies can pick those artifacts up, whether it be a tarball or a deb, and consume them. Not that group of people is a very small group, unfortunately. So we're working towards a system where things are more easily consumable, but we're also untangling a lot of the technical debt around the release engineering process. So, if you are someone who wants to consume nightlies or alpha, beta, RC releases of Kubernetes from an after yum repo, you can't do that today. Right. So and that's because of the way our repos are designed, our apt and yum repos are designed. We're working on a new design for those things where you will be able to consume nightly and testing versions of Kubernetes, but we're a little ways away from that. There's still lots of stuff in the infrastructure. So if you were on the SIG release call, I was kind of walking through the Kubernetes build process, or briefly walking through the Kubernetes build process, and some of the stuff I'm trying to change in it. There's still some unknowns, and the debs and RPMs are kind of like the last mile of that. So there are a few things process-wise that we need to lay down before we can move there.
Okay, that answers my question.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, thanks for asking. Always good to ask questions. Any other questions before we scan the board? Looking for the board. Projects. Yeah. Good. All right. I will go ahead and share my screen. Can everybody see my screen?
Yep.
Yes.
Fabulous. Very cool. All right. We have a lot of issues in progress. Do we have any updates on the automation to facilitate tracking spreadsheets?
No, not yet. That was
Okay.
one of the things I was hoping to do this past weekend, but got preoccupied.
Also, it's the weekend.
Yeah.
So no worries. Okay, release retrospective action items. I do believe that everybody on this team should take a look and see which ones are in their wheelhouse and which ones maybe have been worked on already. I do know that the 6 scalability meetup is on there and I have not updated this issue. So that's a to-do for everyone. I don't necessarily, if we have time at the end of the meeting, we can open it again. I know there's 22 checkpoints.
Yeah, we ran through some of it during the SIG release meeting, so maybe we can try to do that offline or async.
Yeah. So Kubernetes release team membership criteria documentation. I know Lockie is assigned to that. I can go poke him. Actually, I might do that right now. Otherwise, I'll have to pick it up and do it. Cool. This is that big meta issue that we mentioned about release blocking criteria that informing failures are tolerable. Currently, this is assigned to Jorge.
Work in progress. I highlighted my thing to. I'm actually talking with CI Signal right now, or at least the lead of CI Signal right now. So this is going in the conversation.
Okay. Should we assign Elena as well?
We could try.
All right. There you go. Thank you. I don't know what this is.
It's basically, Gwen, do you mind increasing the screen? So this is basically, so people are not yet, not quite, but I'll let everyone else speak. Yeah, that's good. I can see that. So basically, it's people who have not been on the release team for a while but want to come back, and they have done leading before. Like, what's the process for reintegrating them into the release team, right? So they should have a halo or some sort of respected status, right, in consideration if we're looking for people outside of the release team. So that's kind of what the issue is, to codify that process.
All right. This has been a while.
Yeah.
All right. If I don't see any movement on it, then perhaps we need to revisit whether this is really actually important to us. Oops, there you go. Okay, this is giant for me on my screen. And progress. Backporting fixes and defining exceptions for non-supported releases. What's happening here?
I know I personally haven't touched this in recent days. Essentially what we need to do is we keep CI up for a little bit. For the last supported release, we need to determine like what are the reasons that we would continue to release. Are they critical CVs? Like what are the things that would cause us to still release on a quote unquote non-supported release branch?
Okay.
Yeah. That's probably gonna hang out for a while. There's a little bit of a backlog. So
we have a priority.
Important soon. It's probably an important long-term thing, to be honest.
Yeah.
Probably take it back to the backlog.
Yep. And I'm gonna move that back. backlog. There we are. Adjusting PR boilerplate and labels to improve release notes. Is there any, there was a lot of work on that in early September. What's happening? I think this kind of got stuck between let's not overwhelm somebody with like a new person opening a PR with like a lot of information requests and
yeah, I think the majority of the stuff that we wanted to merge got merged there. The remaining pieces are there's a discussion on primary SIG that you're hovering over, as well as the deprecation note. The deprecation note. So again, I'm heavily in favor of, like you said, not having so much information in the PR template that it makes it harder for a new contributor to get involved or understand the pieces that they need to lay down. So I'm thinking that for the deprecation note, we have something like a kind deprecation label instead, and the release note field becomes a deprecation note instead, like when the issue is tagged as kind deprecation. So our tooling would need to support that, and we would need the label.
Yeah. Should we update that issue then?
Yeah, I've got a PR and issue backlog to go through, so that's on it. That's in my Kubernetes floating around.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and add you as an assignee then.
Cool beans.
Thank you so much for all the work you do, Stephen.
And yeah, no problem.
Take care of yourself. You're doing a lot. And I know that I'm being recorded right now. So all right. So we'll leave that into the in progress. Right. Implement release blocking job criteria. This is also kind of related to the previous issue. I keep doing this. I want to be able to just click on it.
That one is technically a work in progress. The work ended up being divided between the 3 issues, and those are moving along slowly, but moving along.
Okay, very cool. Can you kind of leave a commented update so we can have everyone find?
Actually, what information do you all think will be useful? Actually, the comment right before mine, Josh's comment right before mine, is essentially the TLDR.
Aha! Oh, awesome. Yes. Okay, very good. So they're there.
I'm wondering if we should, because this is kind of an ominous issue, I'm wondering if we should close it in favor of those ones that were broken out.
Definitely. I mean, at this point, I gone over the conversation a couple times, and essentially everything that was originally planned for this issue has been done.
Yeah.
Right now, it's just an umbrella issue for the 3 that are left to do.
Yeah, this is going to hang out for a while, especially around the trying to understand what flakiness is and how we define flakiness. And I imagine this issue would stay open for a few more cycles. So let's close this out. And yeah.
That sounds good. Next question, are all those 3 issues on the release tracking board?
Yes.
2 of them?
They are all on.
Very good. Awesome. Okay. Boom. And then add information about what qualifies for a milestone. That's a documentation issue. We are a little bit fuzzy on what's a milestone and what should be in a milestone. We have a couple of pull requests for cherry picks. And I'll talk to Jeff about this. He's been out for the last few weeks, so let's just follow up with him async or next week. Cool. To do, try splitting release schedule out of release lead playbook. I've sort of been poking around at that in my head. There's not been any visible work on it. And we have this issue, we already talked about it, that's in the to-do. Then, all right, we'll be looking at the exceptions YAML files probably this week, so let's revisit that next week. Any questions, concerns, issues that aren't on here, issues that you'd like to discuss further?
Just in general, great job everyone for like staying on top of a lot of the stuff. It's nice to see the board getting walked every week, this cycle, and people being fairly communicative on all of their issues and PRs. So thank you for making my job easy.
Yeah, I really feel like this board helps us stay in touch with what's happening with the release overall. It's really nice. Let's go and quickly take a peek at the release retrospective action items, because I do think we can knock some off there. Investigate release branch scalability tests. I think we've been doing that, right?
Yeah, I would say let me do this. IO basically, you see on the 116 AIs where there's a connected issue. I want to connect all of the issues so it's easier for people to see. This is going to kind of be harder to do for people who don't have edit access to edit the description for this. So let me take this on.
Okay. Cool. Yep. And also ping me. Please DM me and keep me in the loop, and just kind of like, if you want to discuss, or if you want to just kind of hang out and do this together sometime this week. Yeah, for sure. So I'm more than happy to, just because I'd like to improve the process overall. That's kind of my job. So. Just a little. All right, cool. So with that, I feel like there's I will make offerings to the Zoom gods that we will not have to scramble for, like, hey, which meeting is it next week?
Let's blow up the invite. I can do that and resend one. So I had edited the original invite, but maybe it just makes sense to delete it, because I think what's happening is the people who are on Gmail probably are getting the updated invite. I think I got the updated invite. I'm on Outlook for corporate stuff, but something's happening with the calendar invite, and because like some people are landing in the right room and some people aren't. So let's delete the old one and start fresh.
Okay, good. Everyone look out for extra emails regarding the meeting. Sorry for the spam, but let's hope we can fix that for next week.
Yay, calendars.
Awesome. And I know this meeting was a little bit longer than previous ones, but we are still 15 minutes before time. Thank you so much, everybody. We're starting to ramp up. Release date's getting closer. I'm excited. Stop share. There we are. Okay. Very cool. Thanks so much, everybody, and I will see you next week. Same time, same place. Bye.
Bye.